Welcome to Real World, Real Talk with Dr. D.Z. Cofield. This show represents captivating conversations and insightful information to encourage and inspire you with all you need to become the best you can possibly be. And now, your host for Real World, Real Talk, Dr. D.Z. Cofield.
Welcome to Real World, Real Talk. I'm your host, DZ Cofield, and you're listening to your member-supported public radio station, your number one source for jazz and more, your community station, KTSU 90.9 on the FM dial and ktsusradio.com, and anywhere you can hear the Real World, Real Talk podcast network. Man, I am super excited about our show today as we move towards the celebration of Juneteenth as a national holiday. Now, you and I both know in the state of Texas, Juneteenth has been a holiday that's been celebrated forever with watermelon and red soda water and the like. But now it is a national holiday. And it still is a day that we set aside to remember, to be reminded of who we are as a people, reminded of who we are as a community, and all of the things that make us who we are. And I'm excited about our show today. But before we get started, let me take care of a couple of housekeeping matters. First of all, if you'd like to follow me during the week, you can follow me on Instagram at DZ Cofield. You can follow me on Facebook at DZ Cofield. And you can follow me on Twitter at, you guessed it, DZ Cofield. With so many things going on in the news, it is a pleasure to be able to celebrate a holiday that all of us can identify with, and that's Juneteenth. Today, I'm excited to have a wonderful sister with us to share her story and what she's doing to help make Juneteenth a special holiday in her own right, but also what she's doing to help change people's lives and change our community. Chef Tarsha Gary is with us. She's a native of Woodbury, Connecticut, grew up in the Katy area, cooked her first full Thanksgiving dinner at 11 years old, has a passion for cooking, including being trained as a culinary artist at the Houston Community College culinary program, where she is a pastry chef and master baker. She has tremendous fine dining experience, recognized by President Obama for her community work with Ecotone, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. She is taught at San Jack College and trains chefs to cook, and actually regular people to cook as well. I got to tell you in just a moment how I really got connected with this lady. But she also has a podcast, Freestyle Flavor, with Chef Tarsha Gary. Now, let me tell you how I got connected with her. So I called one of the members of our church, dear friend, Mark Holly, and I said, listen, Chef, I need somebody who has a passion for the community. We're doing a program. Those of you who listen to Real World, Real Talk, you heard me interview Abigail Thompson, and one of the pillars of her capstone project is nutrition. And so I said, man, Chef Holly, I would love to have somebody come in to do a cooking demonstration with people on healthy ways to cook soul food. And without hesitation, he said, man, you got to call Chef Tarsha. She's the person that you need to call. And so we reached out and connected. And I want to say this publicly. I haven't told her this privately, but everybody who was in that session, I walked down there this past Saturday, and every person said, oh man, this has been a tremendous program. But let me tell you something, that Chef Tarsha, she turned it out. She was the best. Oh my God, that was the best session. And so I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess I got to get her back to do something with us. So let me welcome to Real World, Real Talk, Chef Tarsha Gary. Chef T, how are you doing, ma'am?
I'm doing wonderful. It's so wonderful to be here with you. Thanks for having me. I'm loving hearing that good feedback. I enjoyed myself over there and
Oh my
looking forward
God.
to coming back.
Listen, they were so excited about what you taught them, and they were telling me, "Hey, man, I'm putting that into practice. I'm doing it right now," which I know for any teacher, for any instructor, when you can give out information and people apply it, that's always a great thing. So,
Absolutely.
tell our listening audience first about you and how you got into your work with the community for your Ecotone project to be recognized by President Obama, and the work that you're doing in Third Ward. Let's talk about that because that's really the foundation upon which your Juneteenth project has been built upon.
Absolutely. Ecotone World is a green vision catalyst, as I like to call it. And we started Ecotone World back in 2009, early 2008, maybe. And I was going around teaching kids to cook. And that really was my first education program, which morphed into my summer camp, which is called Community Kids Cook with Chef Tarsha. And in that work, going around to the different community centers, neighborhood centers, churches, what have you, and teaching kids to have a life skill of cooking and the value of ingredients. Then I realized, well, I'm doing all of this teaching, but what is the practicality of those skills when they go home? Are they actually able to cook when they go home? Do they have these ingredients, etc.? And that led me down the path of starting Ecotone, which is about gardening and about growing your own food and creating a comprehensive community sustainability program through that. So it's really about affecting where's our food coming from, and how do we have the skills to change our lives because we can have a hand in that. Third Ward is a very important place to me. I know your church is located there. Third Ward, when I started these gardening programs, was considered a food desert. To some degree, it still is.
Yeah.
There's been a lot more upsurge in projects, since the 13 years since I've been doing this. But that's where we started. We started in Third Ward. We got a lot over there, and we built out beds. And we began on the mission of really bridging the gap between intergenerational demographics, right? The kids that I started out teaching, their parents, their grandparents, etc., to bring a real model in place to as a defense against desertification, community deserts, not having the produce, the food there, not having the grocery stores there, not having the value for different types of food. And so those are the reasons why I did get an acknowledgement from President Obama about this work, because I have taught in my team, really hundreds and hundreds of kids, I've lost count now, to cook and to put their hands in the dirt, and then now to honor their tradition through what are the ingredients. Get grandma to come on out and let her tell us, be the boss of us, and bridge the gap between information, because that is something that we see lacking here now. Is we have a lot of kids that are latchkey kids, a lot of single parents. And so these skills that we're teaching, that I've been teaching, give some independence to young people, which then make them more functioning within their own household.
Yeah. No, that's so powerful. I want to talk a little bit about the capstone project that you participated in at the church. The capstone project is entitled "Improving Your Health and Wellness on a Budget," and you came in. We actually took ingredients that are available through our food pantry and basically, gave you a box and said, "Hey, you go through it and do your thing." What was your approach to that, and how did you literally break this down into layman's terms and to get people excited who have been cooking one way the overwhelming majority of their lives to say, hey, let's think through this in a healthier way, still giving you flavor, still giving you enjoyment, but we want you to be healthier in your cooking. What was your approach to that?
Well, first of all, I love this approach, right? It is what people who follow cooking shows and food TV, they're familiar with this competition style approach of Chopped or the mystery box. And,
Yeah.
and then those of us who live in families that are African American and people of color, we understand, go and look what's in the refrigerator and make something happen. So,
Right,
this
right,
is something.
right. Our mamas had chop boxes called pantries, and
Period. We've been living like this. Okay.
right, right.
So it was easy for me to do that. What we ended up making was greens, mustard greens, which was fantastic. And I had spent some time some years back in connection with the American Heart Association, being their culinary initiatives chef, spotlighting in things like the Black Expo and showing how we can take our traditional foods like mustard greens and make them healthier. So removing the meat, which is very important now, right? Everybody's going plant-based and everybody's looking for an option to be healthy, but still keep and savor our traditional flavor. So I've been doing that forever, and that is something that is tandem with, again, my mission with Ecotone and growing your own food, up the vegetable content and the quality, using herbs. So these are some of the things that came out in that, showing them how to reduce those seasonings, right? Reduce that salt intake, take away the sugar that everybody sprinkle a little sugar on their greens or a little sugar on there. Take that away and enhance flavors with natural foods.
Yeah.
A lot of the things that I talked about at that demo, I've had so many things that I've covered. I get so excited really engaging with people because I have a lot of information and I see an opportunity, as it may be a one-time opportunity that I have to share something with somebody that might need something that I have. And I told them that the most important thing, and this is to your viewers as well, the most important thing you can do is have a solid pantry. And what that means is that go ahead and start spending the extra money on those high quality oils. We don't use a lot of oil. You have to learn how to cook without oil. So that means all of these fried foods, you can still have that texture, that flavor, just learn a technique. But the main thing is start using your olive oils, your avocado oils, your walnut oils. And some of us shy away from that because you go to the store and you see $8 on a little small bottle. And you think, oh no, I'm not going to do that. But it's premium to your body, your heart health, and you're not going to use a lot of oil. So it is important to start taking these classes. That was something that as you said, I jumped on it when you asked me to, because I do know the importance of just equipping us with and getting us back in the kitchen. That's a whole nother issue. We're living these lives. I think that we experienced this pandemic and there was a lot of loss associated with that. But the positive thing is that we've been able to sequester ourselves, our families, and realize what's important. And part of that is going back to the kitchen and cooking your own meals.
Man, listen, Chef, you said a mouthful with that, because I'll be honest with you, my wife and I, she'll want to go out just because she doesn't feel like cooking, or, I may not feel like cooking, but it's hard for me to eat out now. I mean, I had so much fun cooking and trying different recipes. And my wife laughs at me because she says, I'm the master at Cofieldizing food. I'll throw stuff together and man, give me
Eat it
some
with the hot
garlic.
sauce.
Oh yeah. Well, no, I'm not a hot sauce guy. But
Okay.
like garlic, onions, peppers. I'm gonna throw that stuff in there, and I'm gonna try some different herbs and flavors. I made some lamb chops, just last night, and rubbed them in olive oil, and put my herbs on them. And I was rolling, put them on the grill. And she was like, man, she's like, where you learn how to do this? And I'm like, You know, but I love watching those cooking shows, and I know the people who were here really, really appreciated that approach, because what I noticed was a lot of the things that I thought historically was the flavor of foods was really the additives to the food. Like, for example, I really, really like greens. And I realized that I used to like ham hocks in the greens. But
Mhm.
after I started taking those out and started cooking greens in another way, then I'm like, you know, greens actually taste good. Like it's a different flavor than when I'm eating meat with the greens,
Right.
you know, and those kinds of things. Let's talk about the Juneteenth Community Culinary Celebration, because this is something that you and Chef Raleigh are hosting. This is the first one that you're doing. And I would love for our community to come out and support that. It's a fundraising event. Let's talk about what it supports and what the event is about.
Well, this is our inaugural Juneteenth Culinary Celebration. And myself and my partner, Chef Sherry Raleigh, who is out of Waco, and she's also the founder of Black Women Chefs, which is very important because we are celebrating Black women chefs at this, our first kickoff. We are very excited to know that Juneteenth has become a national holiday, and our city in particular, Houston, is rolling out the red carpet with so many great, fantastic events, education around what this holiday means. And for us as chefs and for us as Black folk, we know how tandem food is to emancipation. First of all, coming out of the fields and those greens that we're talking about, and all of those things that we actually had a hand in. Now we're able to celebrate in a different way. What we want to do and what we are doing is taking this time on June 18th to introduce the celebration of food. That's a huge thing for all people, but certainly African American people. And we're doing that in the vein of providing some food genealogy. Um, we are going to trace back through ingredients from West Africa and how we got here to Texas, right? And those things that are standing firm in our tradition as African Americans as we celebrate Juneteenth. So this is something that this is our first year, but we're going to be doing so many good things. And we want everybody to think of Juneteenth, to think of the food as well. I mean, we know that it is something that we're all going to be, people are going to be at their grills and barbecuing, and that's fine. But we want you to really take mental note that this is a huge part of our celebration and a huge part of our history. And we wanted to be the chefs to come forward and mark that in this city for sure.
Wow. I love that phrase, food genealogy, because that's not something that we think about often. I've been blessed to travel around the world, and just it's always striking to me whenever I'm with children of the diaspora and I see them eating the foods that we eat here, preparing them in the ways that they prepare them, whether it's the yams or the beans or the greens, you know, whatever the case may be. It's always fascinating to me, and the flavors and the tones and the seasonings and things that they throw into that. This is a unique event because it has an indoor and outdoor component, and I want to talk about that after the break. And for those of you who are listening, I'm going to ask Chef Tarsha to give you some cooking tips later on, just so she can just throw a little
Hang in there,
sprinkle
right?
in. Yeah, just hang with us. It's going to be like paprika on your mama's potato salad. It won't be the whole meal, but she's going to give you a couple of tips to help you get through and help you cook a little better and a little healthier. You're listening to Real World, Real Talk on your member-supported public radio station, your number one source for jazz and more, KTSU. We'll be back in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Real World, Real Talk. I'm your host, Dr. DZ Cofield, and you're listening to your member-supported public radio station, your number one source for jazz and more. KTSU 90.9 on the FM dial and KTSUradio.com. We are in the studio talking to Chef Tarsha. And man, I've got to tell you, I'm so excited. One, because I am a closet foodie. You can't tell by listening to my voice, but I love to eat, but I also love to cook as well. And so it's always fascinating to me to talk to people who love cooking and love food and love what it does to people and see cooking as a means to bring about greater health and wellness in our community as well. We're talking right now about the Juneteenth culinary event that she is hosting, and we're excited about that community culinary celebration to honor Black women's contributions to American foodways with art and music. There are several chefs that you highlighted, including Chef Yearby, Chef Adams, Chef Jarman, along with yourself and Chef Raleigh. Can you talk about this unique event? It's taking place on Saturday. That's this Saturday, June the 18th, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at 2015 Berry Street in Houston's historic Third Ward. Admission to the event is $100. Tickets are available through Eventbrite, but you need to understand that this donation is supporting a bigger cause. This is a fundraiser for this community artist collective and this whole combination of food and music and dance and art. I mean, this is like just kind of a smorgasbord, I guess I would say, of African culture and celebration of Juneteenth. The event is ticketed for indoor participation, but you have outdoor activities as well. So talk about the two sides of this event.
Yeah, we have the indoor is, as you said, $100. Those proceeds are going to directly benefit our educational programs. Those programs are our St. Charles Street Urban Community Garden, which is located on St. Charles Street in Third Ward. And as a matter of fact, the following day, on the 19th, we will have a garden day where everybody can come drive by, walk through the garden and orchard, find their way to signing up for volunteer days or what have you. So that's one program. The other benefit will be to Community Kids Cook with Chef Tarsha. That is a summer camp program where it's a month-long camp, very intensive, teaching kids not only about hands-on tactile life skills as cooking, but about the business of food, right? They'll do a business plan. They'll think about like, what is making a Happy Meal happy? It's certainly not the toy. It is the farmer that we visited out in Winnie, Texas, who is got chickens and goats. And so those kinds of things. And then lastly, we're benefiting the Raleigh Hospitality Fund. My founder partner, my co-partner, Chef Sherry Raleigh, is also a food educator in Waco, Texas. And she comes from a family of hospitality folks. As a matter of fact, on the list of the chefs that you listed who will be participating in this event, one of them is her daughter, Amaya Yearby, who is also a pastry chef, who has traveled to Paris and who comes back with the culinary knowledge that she's going to share with us. And our focus really behind having several chefs that we're looking at in this year and years to come is to also give you the intergenerational experience of chefs, right? For me, having been in this business for more than 25, 26, 27 years, one of the things that I've been confronted with as a Black woman chef is fighting my way through, right, to the top, to recognition, to, being honored as a chef in this business. It's a very male-dominated system, which is ironic because when we think about food and we think about the kitchen and nurturing, we think about our mothers and our grandmothers, and certainly I had a dad that could cook. But it's very important to us to show the importance of Black women chefs and how really we've been left out of the narrative, really how our contribution has set the stage, we think, for the American palate and the food table. So this is something that we're really trying to make ourselves feel better about, knowing solidly that we've contributed both professionally and otherwise when we weren't even able to be given a title as chef. That's what's happening on the inside. We're going to have a celebration of African American culture, as you said, and doing that. For $100, we're offering you a brunch, a gourmet brunch tasting. As I said, we will go through the genealogy. Our ingredients are okra, which is coming straight out of Africa, straight through all of the Creole experiences. You'll have that as a tasting in a bruschetta way. Of course, we're going to upscale and fine dine and put a little tweak on everything that we're doing. We are looking at chicken, right? Chicken is important in our culture and everybody's culture, but chicken, we'll be doing chicken tenders in 3 ways, honoring the flavors of Africa, of the Creole, and of Brazil. And these are all of the places where we saw the slaves go to and contribute to, as you said in the beginning, the different seasoning styles. We'll highlight red velvet. You talked about the red, the color red, as a part of the celebration of Juneteenth. We think about red soda, we think about watermelon, and we think about red velvet cake. Well, we're going to give you some red velvet Bellini. So it's kind of a spin on chicken and waffles, but it's going to be these tenders and red velvet Bellinis and all of the different sauces. And then we will have my signature watermelon salad. I'm looking forward to teaching that probably at your church at another affair, because I want people to think of watermelon, not only just that we love it, but it's a vehicle for other vegetables, other herbs, other flavors. And so you see it in fine dining menus a lot around the country. And certainly we're celebrating it in our own culture. We'll have some finery things, some chocolate truffles, some pecan pralines, some tea cakes, those traditional items that we know is in our culture. And we will lace that all together with the beautiful music, the jazz sound of Dean James. We will have the backdrop of an extraordinary African-American female artist, Barry Jenks. Her work is so bold and wonderful. And then we will have some specialty items over my shoulder here, if I'm able to show it. This is what we're featuring as our first block, and you're seeing it here first. This is our first block of the Underground Railroad quilt. And the first block is called the monkey wrench, right? And why that's very important is because the women in the kitchens, the cooks, were the ones that put the quilts out on the line to tell the slaves what was going on, right? The Underground Railroad quilt was a map, a way of communication in the emancipation of slaves. So this is the first block. It is called the monkey wrench. And what it communicates is that it's time to get your tools, your things together. We are about to be on the move. And so this is a specialty item, a artisan stitched item that is going to be available at the affair. And it's been hand stitched by the Community Artist Collective, the Jubilee Quilt Circle. They're very celebrated. As a matter of fact, they're on exhibit right now. And so that's going to be there, and we're going to be very excited about it. I have this one framed. We'll have one that's available framed, but we'll have the block so that you can collect it as a commemorative item. And what we're going to do is each year we will add another block So if you follow us, then at some point you will have the whole quilt to display, either as artwork, pillows, whatever you want to do with it. But we have been thinking this is a curated event, right? And we are thinking very strongly about how we're presenting our culture and how we want to be presented. And also how women in food have had an integral role in the emancipation of Black people and the celebration, as well. On the outside, we have the opportunity to invite the public at no cost. So we didn't want to isolate everyone. If you don't have $100 and you can't get a seat on the inside, again, we don't want you to be left out. It is a fundraiser for us, but it's a celebration. And so on the outside, we have our outdoor market. The marketplace is going to feature great information and booths and food. We will have Black Voters Matter. They're going to have a booth out there registering people to vote, because we know that that's important as we move forward. It's always been important to have our voices heard. So we're honored that they'll be there. We have Ivy Leaf Farms will be there, and they will have, they're going to introduce a specialty product that you'll see first at this event. And then they'll have seeds, and they'll be coaching people on how to start and grow their own food. We've got Hip Vegan for all of our vegan folks, and they're going to have a product to sample and to purchase, which is their vegan boudin. We've got Bolish, which is Chef Anthony coming out of New Orleans. He's going to bring his food truck with all of his Creole delights that are made in the form of a ball, like a croquette, right? So much good things. We've got the artist Charles Washington, who is prolific in Midtown and in Third Ward. He will have an outdoor exhibit set up. So we'll have art on the outside. We'll have art in the inside. You'll know where you got there. When you get there, you'll know. We'll have quilts blowing in the wind to let you know that this celebration is on and popping.
Wow. I'm telling you what, it sounds like so much fun. I'm already checking my schedule. I need to find out. Now, they can order tickets, reserve tickets on Eventbrite.
Right.
And what name will they look for this under if they go to Eventbrite?
Go to Eventbrite. You are going to pull up Juneteenth Culinary Celebration. And our beautiful flyer is going to come up, and you'll know you've got it because the flyer has the wonderful African queen on it, and you can't miss that. So that's where you'll find us. And I do want to say that we are close to getting sold out. So go ahead and get your tickets today. This first venue we'll have it at is the Assembly. And we've chosen this venue because it is owned by a Black woman chef. And it also fills the narrative that we're wanting to, which is kind of that row house look, that old school cabin. And so that goes great with the story that we're telling.
Yeah, no, it's so powerful to think about the story and for women who are in this industry to tell their own story.
Right.
The fact of the matter is, as an African-American man, I can try to tell the story, but I can't tell your story for you as well as you can tell your story. And I think you're absolutely right. When we think about cooks, when we think about the people who established our palates, it was our mothers, it was our grandmothers. It wasn't our fathers and our grandfathers, even though, I had a father who could cook as well. But man, my mother was the one that threw down. I mean, and created gourmet meals out of scraps in the pantry.
Right.
We laughed about Chopped earlier, and I can remember her saying, we'll go in there and get something to eat. And I'm like, man, there's nothing in here to eat. And
nothing in here to eat.
Right. And then she's like, get out of here, and 30 minutes later, I'm like, man, this is good. Like, did you go to the store or something?
Right.
It's like, just took it and made it happen. This festival, which is really what I describe it as, is part of this Juneteenth celebration. It's on Saturday, uh, June the 18th.
Hmm.
It's from 11 a.m. to 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Should say, and it promises to be a great event. Um, as you think about this, you all have labeled this the inaugural event. Why for you all was the timing right to launch this, and why are you bold enough to say this is the first of many that's coming?
Yeah. Well, we feel like this is our time in terms of being Black women, right? We've got so many victories to celebrate that we can feel comfortable about announcing ourselves, in the time where no one was announcing us, as I said. But now we have Kamala Harris, that victory. Now we have Supreme Court Justice Ketanji, and we've got so many victories, and on the food end, we have seen a change where we do see Black women and people of color on the different cooking shows. Now, I have been courted many years for a long time to be on some of these cooking shows, and there have been a lot of things that they have stipulated for me to be, that I didn't agree with, or that they just didn't want, because there is only one spot for a Black female. And so, yeah, now is our time. We know it for sure. We have no confidence issue. We never have. But now we're also in control of the media, right? We can create our own story, and we can put it out here for other people who also identify with it. And this is just the time. We know that this is something that's going to be popular, because it is just like the movies. It is just like Black Panther let us know that, yeah, everybody wants to hear different stories. Everyone around the world wants to be a part of diversity. And Black people and the Black culture has been such a vibrant piece of thread running through the tapestry of American culture, that everyone identifies with that too. And so it's about culture. It's about pride. It is about a celebration. It's interesting because, as you said at the beginning, I'm from Waterbury, Connecticut. And as they say, I got here to Texas as fast as I could. That means I was a child. And I've grown up here. But my family and where I come from in Connecticut, Juneteenth is not something that we even heard of, identified with. And it's more of a Southern
Right,
holiday.
right.
It was. And so this becoming a national holiday is super important. And we had to jump on this timing right now.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I'm from New York, from the city originally, and I would tell people all the time when I first got here, man, how are you celebrating getting the news a year and a half late? Like, why are you celebrating that, right?
Right,
And but for me, this holiday has evolved as a point of pride
right,
and a point of historical significance that quite honestly, many of us on the East Coast were completely ignorant of.
right.
We didn't know the story. The story hadn't been told. The story hadn't been shared. And so now to see it celebrated as a national holiday is, a powerful, powerful moment for us. I would often tell people, the 4th of July, the celebration of the 4th of July, it's interesting. That had meaning for me. And then over the years, it has waned in its significance to the point that it's virtually meaningless for me now.
Hmm.
And here I am now, all in favor of, Juneteenth every day of the year, and
Yeah.
celebrating that freedom. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back in just a moment. And I told you I'm going to ask Chef Tarsha to give us some cooking tips. And I can't give her a chop basket, but we can ask her to help us with one of our favorite meals. And we'll be back in just a moment. You're listening to your community station, KTSU 90.9 on the FM dial and KTSUradio.com. Welcome back to Real World, Real Talk. I'm your host, Dr. DZ Cofield, and you're listening to your member-supported public radio station, your number one source for jazz and more. KTSU 90.9 on the FM dial, KTSUradio.com, and on the Real World, Real Talk podcast network. We have as our guest today, Chef Tarsha Gary. We are talking about the inaugural Juneteenth Community Culinary Celebration that is honoring Black women's contributions to American foodways with art and music. It's being held on June the 18th. That's Juneteenth weekend, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. The address is 2015 Berry Street. 2015 Berry Street in Houston's historic Third Ward. And I want to thank the Community Artists Collective and all who are helping to make this event the success that it promises to be. All right, Chef Gary, help us with our cooking. So I was telling this story not too long ago. A well-known soul food restaurant in our city, the owner said to me, Rev, you got to help me. Man, my client base is down. How I'm gonna, drum up business, get more customers. And I just kind of looked at him and, I said to myself, I didn't say it to him, but I said to myself, you know, most of your clients are dead. You know what I mean? They've died, or they're not allowed to eat this kind of food anymore. When we talk
Right.
about soul food, as it has been traditionally prepared.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are those of us who are old enough to remember those great flavors and those memories that come from those foods that were cooked by our grandparents, our great grandparents, our parents. And we can't eat that way now because of diabetes, high blood pressure, and the like. We're not near as active as we used to be, but we still long for some of those foods. Give us some hints on how can we cook in a healthier way. That soul food that still is marked not just by flavors, but by the love that goes into the preparation of those foods and the celebration of those events. How can we begin to transition so that we're cooking in a healthier way? What are some of the ingredients that you have discovered, some of the herbs, spices that you have discovered that when you're preparing a meal now, for example, with our program here, when you came and did your demonstration, that you can say, hey, if you substitute this with this, you can get, similar flavor, but you can get a whole lot more health benefit out of that.
Yeah, I will say, first of all, that our grandparents and great grandparents, they lived to be ripe old ages, many of them. And it was because the quality of the food that they were eating at the time was certainly more organic, authentic. And the reason why is because they had a hand in growing it in most cases. And that is where I come back with my orientation of Ecotone World. We are about making the difference, taking us back to what is really part of our culture, which is putting your hands in the dirt and growing your own food. That is really the biggest thing you can do, is understand where your food is coming from and the integrity of that food. How was it grown? A lot of the things that we're looking at today with plant-based diets, people are looking at those options because they don't really know what the animals are eating, right? You don't know what anything is. You can't trust organic. Organic has become a marketing ploy, right? So everything that I do is to try to tell people that, you can have more control over your own health by having control over growing your own food. And what does that mean? Because many of us don't have 40 acres or a mule or an acre or half an acre or whatever, but we have containers. We can grow in pots and we can grow in water and all of that. what can you do to affect your meals immediately? What will make the most significant change? I will say, as a chef, and as I shared there that day at the demo I did at your church at Good Hope, herbs, fresh herbs, substituting salt with herbs and acidic uh, features like lemon. Now, we're not going to take all the salt out. We don't want no salt. We definitely do want a higher grade in salt, the sea salt, kosher salt. That's a nice salt. And we're looking at seasoning in two ways. One of the tips I definitely want to give, and it's not just a novelty, is seasoning high, right? High. What do I mean? High up off of your plate, up off of the pan, etc. Bring your hand up, and that helps to give an even distribution to your seasoning versus shaking in that one little spot. And then you're shaking, 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 and you've over seasoned your meat, your salads, your whatever it is, your vegetables. You brought up taking the meat out of your greens. And for some folks, they feel like, oh, there's no way, that's
Right.
not going to be the greens. But you actually have grown up not knowing what greens taste like. A lot of the foods have been masked with salt, gravies, ham, hog, pork products, whatever it is, and you don't actually have the integrity of the actual vegetable. So that's something that I will tell you. Get some good fresh herbs, dried thyme. If I have to pick one, it's really going to be hard for me. But thyme is good. Rosemary, basil. You've got so many varieties even within that. All of our peppers, you mentioned peppers. There's so many hot, spicy peppers, sweet red, green, bell peppers, all of those things. Start incorporating eating with the rainbow. This is what I tell to kids, but this is what we need to know too, the colors. And the biggest thing that you can do is not overcook your food because you'll be removing the nutrient value. You're reducing that. So that is why cooking greens all day, that's not the way to go anymore, right? That pot liquor, we all want that pot liquor. It is healing, but you can still achieve that in a way that keeps some of the health there. We want the texture. We do want texture. So that means, yes, you do want your broccoli, your green beans to have a little snap to it. We do. We eat candy yams, and that's fine, but everything can't be cooked down. So let's keep some of the crunch. That keeps some of the variety there. A lot of color.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of citrus as well. Lemon, lime, balsamic vinegars. Those are
Yeah.
things that help to do counterpoints in flavors. That's what we're looking for.
One of the things that has helped me in my cooking, I went to India, and uh, Indian food, in particular, just the layers of flavor
Right.
was I describe it as like fireworks in your mouth. Like, as you're eating, you're like, ooh, man, and you're tasting something else. But it's because they layer their spices on. They don't mix all their spices together
Right.
and then just dump it on. It's almost like, hey, we're going to put this spice on and let that cook for a minute. Then we're going to put this next spice on. And it creates these flavor profiles of layers that was, just absolutely phenomenal, that I've tried to incorporate in some of my own cooking, even when I got back home. Let me ask you, and I want to circle back around as we get ready to close, around your program to teach children how to cook. One of the things that I noticed with our school that we had for at-risk young people, um, they wanted an immediate application of what they were learning. And there were so many kids who said they couldn't do math. And we
Mhm.
ended up teaching them math in the culinary classes.
Yes.
And one of the kids came back after Christmas break so proud that he had cooked his grandmother breakfast and made grits. And his grandmother loved the grits, right?
Right.
And he followed the directions, and here's a half cup, and okay, I need to double that. So if it's, a half cup is times two, what is a half cup times two? And, and so understanding and learning multiplication and division and the like, what are some of the things that you see children coming out of your program with in terms of confidence, not just confidence in terms of their ability to cook, but self-confidence and things like that? Because I'm sure there's somebody who's listening right now who may be looking for or wondering, hey, where can I put my child for a program in the summer, or something that they can do throughout the school year, something that we can do together as a family. So I'd like for you to talk about Ecotone and what you all do in the area of your children's culinary program. And that's part of what is being benefited by this event on June the 18th.
Yeah. Community Kids Cook with Chef Tarsha is the summer camp that I've been doing for over 15 years now.
And how old do the kids have to be in that program?
Kids, they need to be 10. I oftentimes get the little brother that's 6 and 7. They have to. So, the important thing about it is that we've got to, if I have kids that are younger than 10, I want to group them, and I can't teach a 6-year-old with a 10-year-old and 13. So 10 to 13 is typically what we say. However, it's never that way.
That's okay. We're gonna go with that. 10 and up.
Yeah. 10 and up. 10 to 13 is usually the time, because after 13, 14, their mind is going to something else. But what we teach is life skills. And so what you brought out about the math, yes, math, reading, writing is important. I have them write the recipes. I don't give them recipes. They have to pay attention. Right. So we teach them respect and boundaries. I do introduce the culinary brigade style. That is something that we look at in professional chef work. So it's when Chef Tarsha is talking, nobody is talking. And when I give out a command instruction, you will reply, yes, chef. That will indicate that you have heard the instruction, and then you will do what? Execute. So we do have a format that we're teaching the kids on how to organize their thoughts, pay attention. And then after they've done everything, they write their recipe. So this is about also remembering after they've had hands-on. We're teaching team building. They work in teams with other kids, and they create little kitchens. You may have 4 students grouped together. That's one kitchen. Within one kitchen, we have a captain, as is in the business. One person is going to supervise the activity of the team, and that gives us leadership qualities. We will have to present each team. The captain will present, so that gives them the opportunity to speak and describe their food, the work that they're doing in front of others. And so that revolves every week. Again, this is a month-long, typically a month-long camp. And so usually that gives the opportunity for all of the young people to be in one position or another. The other positions in the kitchen team are the dishwasher, which is the most important person in the restaurant, period, right? It teaches them also to know that your team, everyone is important on your team. And this is what we know in life. You build a strong team, you can go far. So we've got the dishwasher, we've got the captain, we've got the prep person, and we've got the cook. And those all change every week. At the end of the camp, we want the parents to understand that their students really have learned this. It's not about them mimicking what we're telling them to do, and that this is really hands-on. They're working with fire, they're working with knives, all of that. So we have some safety training at the beginning, and this is the reason why Chef Tarsha has to be the leader of the pack from the beginning. I'm very strict and stern. And at the end, we have a luncheon. And the students decide on what the menu will be. They plan the menu, and it is totally executed by the students at that point. We sit back and we are amazed, and we're not amazed because we know what we've introduce them to. You mentioned Chef Mark Holly early on. Chef Mark Holly has been a supporter of my program with Community Kids Cook for many years. And he's supported in the way that we take the students on an industry field trip within this camp so that they're able to go to an actual restaurant and see the skills that we're teaching them to know that they are real. And they get to cook with the chef. And Chef Holly has taught on many occasions his fish in paper, and they've been so excited to meet this chef and go behind the scenes through the kitchen and see all of the other chefs working. And then when we come back is when we have our luncheon. So they are really locked in and understanding that they've learned a real skill. And out of this, I've had some students to go to culinary school, and it's just been a fabulous tribute to the work that we've done.
Oh, okay. So here's what I want to ask. How much does the camp cost?
The camp is typically $120 a student. We've gone up this year. We'll be hosting the camp at KIP, which is the KIP Academy YMCA that's on Bel Air. I'll have to send you the information about it. But the camp is $150 this year. I believe they are covering most of the costs, and they're only requiring the parents to pay $50. So that's a great value. And once again, you have a month-long time slot of camp. Well, actually, no. On this one for KIP, it'll be a week long. So normally what we do when we say month long, it's a series. It's one day a week from 9 to 12. So if we were meeting every Tuesday, that's what it will be. For this KIP camp, we will meet 5 days in a row at that same time slot, and then have our luncheon. And I can provide more information for parents to get in. $50 for this. Everything is covered, and it's a fantastic opportunity for them not only to engage with Chef Tarsha, but other chefs and other students, other cultures, etc.
Okay,
and they're going to
said the
real food.
I got you.
Cereal or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I got you. So the minimum age is 10. What's the maximum age? Because I know of a guy that hosts a radio show that actually may want to slip in and be one of the students.
Not on this one, sir. Not on this one.
Oh, shucks. Oh,
we're going to have to, and this is another thing that, I do with Ecotone and the outreach programs, like we came to the church. We can craft scenarios where we have, Parents' Day Out, or we're doing a healthy food series. We're doing male chefs, right? Dad, who is the grill master, who thinks he's the grill master, but needs to tweak his game on the side items. So there are a number of ways that myself and other chefs will come and have a really great time. We do wine pairings, appetizers. It's unlimited how we can also educate adults.
Chef Tarsha, we got to get out of here. I'm out of time. But just before we go, tell everybody one more time about this tremendous event that's coming up on June the 18th and how they can get tickets.
Houston, we want you to join us on June 18th for this, our first year of the Juneteenth Culinary Celebration. We will be at 2015 Berry Street, which is in the heart of historic 3rd Ward, blocks away from Emancipation Park and all of the activities that will be happening on the weekend. Our event is on the 18th. It is from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., which gives you plenty of time to start your celebration out with us and move on down the line to the park, to the concerts, to all of the fantastic things that'll be happening. If you're interested in getting a ticket to help support our programs that we talked about here today, you can go on Eventbrite and look up the title of our event, which is Juneteenth Culinary Celebration. And if you find that your pockets are a little thinner this year, you're not able to buy a ticket, we still welcome you. Come on out and enjoy the outdoor market. There's going to be plenty there. It's going to be a lot of fun, music, etc. You've got the same invitation, and we really want to see you. And we look forward to, we hope that you guys will show up for us in the first year of our celebration.
Chef Tarsha, thank you so much. I appreciate it, man. I'm gonna get my ticket today. I'm going online. I'm gonna get my ticket today. My wife and I don't know what we have planned, but whatever we have planned from 11 to 2, we're gonna change that schedule. And I got to check and see if I can get my grandbaby in that the children's culinary program.
Yeah.
She's 10 or 11. So so if a granddad can't get in there, I can get her in there. Yeah. And we can celebrate her as well. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
The late Vernon John said, if you see a good fight, get in it. I always add, if you don't see a good fight, start one. And the fight for our health and wellness is a fight that we should stay engaged in always. And to be able to cook your way to health, to be able to culture your way to health, to be able to celebrate who you are, helps you in your own journey in terms of your own health management, stress management, your own mental well-being. And so I want to encourage you to support this event. And in supporting this event, you're supporting the community, but you're also bettering yourself. This is Real World, Real Talk with Dr. DZ Cofield signing off. You've been listening to your member-supported public radio station, your #1 source for jazz and more, KTSU 90.9 on the FM dial. Take care.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Real World, Real Talk. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast to be notified of new episodes every week. Follow us via social media using the @RWRTDZ username on all platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. To submit any comments, questions, sponsor opportunities, or future show suggestions, visit us online at rwrtdz.com or via email at info@rwrtdz.com. Thank you for listening, and we hope you've been inspired to be the change you want to see in the world today. Until next time, be real, keep it real, and stay real.